Welcome back, everyone. This is part 2 on becoming a better writer, and we're going to look at verb tense today, something very important if you're going to be a better writer. Let's get into it. So what is a verb? Bit of revision here for you, hopefully. A verb is usually a doing, thinking, or feeling word. It is a word that tells you something is happening or how one thing relates to another. There are 3 examples of sentences here with verbs in them. The verbs are read, so they stand out. He travelled to the farm. Travelled is the verb in that sentence. It tells us what he did in relation to the farm. He travelled to it. Jill is attacking her brother. Okay, Jill is attacking. Now we've got 2 words there that go together, those 2 words. You can't really separate them, so we consider those 2 words as part of the one verb, if you like. And it tells us what Jill is doing to her brother. Okay, and lastly, I have 10 Justin Bieber videos. Have is the verb in that sentence, and that might not be true. It's a bit embarrassing if it is. Guys, just note that each sentence has a verb. In fact, if it doesn't have a verb, it's not really a sentence. All sentences have verbs, so they're pretty important. Let's get them right. And let's talk about tenses, verb tenses. Now, there are 3 basic verb tenses. You can see them there on the screen: past tense, present tense, and future tense. Okay, we have a bit of a tense situation here with these 2 cars. There's a bit of a pun there for you. They look like they're about to have a crash. Okay, so let's fast forward perhaps 10 seconds. I'm not really going to do that, but let's imagine that it's all over and the cars crashed. Okay, so we're looking back at what has happened, and we've seen it's in the past, and the verb is in the past tense. And you'll notice with this verb crashed, okay, it has that ed ending on it, and a lot of verbs, when they go into the past tense, you put ed on the end of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Okay, the present tense. Okay, so if they're in the moment of crashing, this is what's happening. The cars crash. It's happening as we speak. Okay, that is what we call the present tense. Okay, and that's pretty obvious. And the future tense is also fairly obvious. Okay, so if we're looking at this picture now, we can predict perhaps that the cars will crash. Okay, sometime in the future, probably in a couple of seconds from now, the cars will crash. Okay, so there are our 3 basic verb tenses, and you can see the different forms of the verb in those 3 examples. Okay, let's keep on moving, because what we want to talk about is your journal or recount writing. This relates directly to that. Now, recounts. Let's have a think about this. Your recounts, or mine, should always be written in the what tense. Now, which would you choose? Future tense, present tense, or past tense? Well, have a think about it. Which would you select? Tell me which one to go to. I'm going to the past tense. Hopefully that's the one you selected, okay? If you didn't, not much we can do about it now, because that's the correct answer. Your recounts should always be written in the past tense. So why should they be written in the past tense? You might have already worked this out. Hopefully you have. Because you are recounting something that has already happened. Okay, a recount tells us about something that's happened already. So it's in the past. It's in the past tense. This means that all your verbs should be past tense verbs. Okay, we want to be consistent. We want to keep all our verbs in the past tense because we're talking about something that has already happened. Okay. Here's an example of something that has gone wrong with this person's recount. I'm going to get you to pause the video for me now, and I want you to read the recount there, and you can unpause it as soon as you've finished. So pause me now. Okay, so you've had a chance to read that. Now, did you work out what was wrong with that example? I'll give you a hint. It's something to do with the verb tenses. Okay. Did you work out that this sentence here, we are eating popcorn, actually changes tense? it changes from the past tense into the present tense. So we are eating popcorn is actually present tense, as in we're eating it right now, when all of a sudden a zombie carrot jumps out from behind a tree. Now, jumps here is in the present tense. And this sentence is out of kilter. It's not correct because it's in the present tense, and the rest of the paragraph is in the past tense. Okay, it's talking about something happened yesterday, and they went to the movies. We saw. Okay, these are all past tense. We get to this sentence here, and we go into present tense, and then look, we come back to the past tense. My sister spilled her popcorn. I couldn't stop laughing. Okay, so we've got past tense and present tense mixed together, and it just, I don't know if you realise this, but it just doesn't work when you read it aloud or read it to yourself. It sounds a bit funny. So this is what's really important behind this little box here, guys. Really important tip. Make sure the verb tense is consistent throughout your text, okay? Make sure it's the same the whole way through. Don't keep going from present into past or past into present. Make it consistent. All right. Finally, it's time for you to do some writing. So you're going to write a short recount about something interesting that you did recently. Okay, so it might be on the weekend you did something interesting, or in the holidays you did something interesting, or even at school. Hopefully interesting things do happen at school as well, and we hope that your learning is interesting. Now, when you've finished, it's just a paragraph or so. I want you to highlight or underline all the verbs in your paragraph, in your recount. And here's the important bit. Check that each verb you have used is in the past tense. If you're unsure whether it's in the past tense or you're unsure what the verbs are, check with a friend or your teacher. Okay, and then don't forget to share it with your teacher at the end so that they can give you some feedback. Righto, folks, it's time to get writing and practicing your verb tense. Off you go.